Hello, this is Grace Chatting, and I'm the founder of Relationship Academy, where we teach you lessons that they didn't teach at school. And thank you for coming back. And today's lesson is going to be on the 6 human needs. Now, I am a great fan of Anthony Robbins, as I'm sure most of you will know that by now. And I remember being with Alan. We had a coaching centre in Spain some years ago, and we used to do a lot of couple work and personal work with other people, but did a lot of work ourselves as well. And I can remember thinking how really helpful and useful and profound it was when we went over the 6 human needs, how our needs were met and how we were meeting each other's needs. So I'll just go through those with you now very briefly. The first need is for certainty. We all need to have a certain amount of certainty in our lives. In other words, that in terms of a couple relationship, that your partner is going to be around next week, next month, next year, that they're not constantly talking about this is not going to work, is it? Or we might as well call it a day, or they start talking about divorce. Now, those sort of it's gameplay really that a lot of people talk to each other that way, but it's really dangerous stuff and it's corrosive and it wears down the relationship. So people need certainty. We all need to know that we can rely on our partner to be there. If things are going badly and it looks like the relationship's going to end, like often couples who come to see me, their need for certainty is not being met because that it's a very uncertain situation. So think about it. If there's a lot of change going on at the same time for you or your partner, and therefore for the two of you as a couple, like perhaps expecting a new baby or moving house or having a new job, if you find that you're both bickering a lot, or things are not going very well between you, look and see what's the levels of uncertainty and see what you can do to bring more certainty into your situation, because we all need to feel a certain amount of certainty in our lives. So the second human need is variety. We are a little bit of uncertainty because none of us like it. We get bored if there isn't enough variety. In other words, if everything's the same day in, day out, week in, week out. And actually, one of the things that I notice about young couples who are young parents after they have children, it is a bit of a constraint when you have young children. There is a need to establish routines for them, but a lot of young couples who have young children, they get stuck in a routine and there's very little variety in their relationship, and they finish up with a kind of a Groundhog Day life. And you must have seen couples like it, and I hope you're not one of them, but you might be, where you get up, you go to work, or see to the children and look after the home, and then you come home, you have dinner, you watch television, you fall asleep, or you go to bed, and then you get up and you repeat the same thing all over again. If you've seen the film Groundhog Day, you'll know what I mean, where it's the same day over and over again. It's really, really important that you introduce some variety into your life. And it doesn't have to be mega. Little changes little differences make big, little changes make big differences. So think about it. It may be to just get out and have a walk in the woods, or go for a swim together, or just do something different, something that's novel. It doesn't have to take a load of time. It can be, but it just needs to be interrupting a pattern and a routine, and have a surprise element in it. Do something to surprise each other every so often. You need a bit of variety. So now the third need is for significance. We all need to feel significant. We have a need for significance. Now, this is not a want. Needs are needs, and we will get our needs met one way or the other. Either we'll get them met with our partner or we'll get them met somewhere else. So the need for significance is about feeling really special, valued, important, that you really matter. And often in the busyness of life, and mostly it's not anybody's fault and nobody sets out to do it, and it's not intentional, but often couples, they don't meet that need for significance for each other because they're too busy. He's too busy at work and going for promotion, and she's too busy looking after the children and keeping up with her family and friends. And so he gets his needs met at work, and she gets her needs met through the children and her family. And really, there can be a great divide there. That's when affairs happen. So it's important to bring it back into the relationship, that you both start to appreciate each other explicitly and value each other and pay attention to each other and be present for each other. So it's really important. So following on from that is love and connection is the fourth human need. And, you know, lots of couples love each other who are really not getting on very well at all. And it's not for the lack of love, but love is not enough. Love is not enough to make a relationship last and to make a relationship successful. There needs to be the connection, and often couples lose connection. Now, not meeting the need for significance is part of that. But also there are little rituals and things that they can engage with to maintain the connection. But mostly it's about being conscious. It's about taking notice of each other and learning to be present. And you'll find as the weeks go by that I will be putting up some videos on presence and maintaining connection. But the connection is really, really important, because it's when people become disconnected that things start to break down without them, you know, knowing that it was happening. So the fifth human need is for growth. Everybody needs to be growing, and as Anthony Robbins says, if you're not growing, you're dying. So the need for growth, a lot of people don't realize that they need to be growing. And of course, when people meet up, when they get married or form a committed relationship and establish a home, when you know, or have a wedding and they have a family, that all of those things are very growth producing. So their need for growth is being met. But after that happens, there is a plateauing out. And often couples then, as I say, they get into that routine and they're not growing and they become dissatisfied. And what they do is they project that dissatisfaction onto each other. But in fact, it's because they need to get a life. They need to get a life individually and have some joint aspirations. But once again, there is need for people to be conscious of what's going on in their individual and couple life. So we all need to be growing and consider, does your relationship support your need for growth? And finally, we all have a need to make contribution, to go beyond ourselves, not to be totally focused on me, myself and I, but to make a contribution not just to our partner and our own family, but perhaps to the community as well. And once again, it's one of the human needs that most people don't realise that they have. But people invariably feel better when they're doing something for other people as well as themselves. So what I'd like you to do is to jot those all down, or if I've given you a download, print it out, and consider on a scale of 0 to 10, how is your partner meeting your needs in each of those areas? For certainty, variety, significance, love and connection, growth and contribution, where would you score your partner on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being low and 10 being high? And when you've done that, then look at where would you score yourself in terms of how you meet their need on a scale of 0 to 10. So just write those down and then, compare them. Now, what I don't want you to do is to look and think, oh, my need for significance is only met out of 2 or a 3. That's not very good. If it isn't, what I want you to do is to give your partner the information that your partner needs to let them know what would need to be different in how they're relating to you that would bring that up to an 8 or a 9. You want to be aiming for an 8 or a 9 on all of those scores. But it's not about blaming each other. It's about looking at what the scores are and giving each other information about how you can meet each other's needs. But you know what would meet your needs. So give your partner that information. And this is really important, and it's a good idea to do this exercise, say, about every 6 months, a kind of like an MOT. So thank you for listening, and I'll catch you in the next lesson. Bye for now.